Ashley Johnson with Just Be You magazine, and this is my tour guide, Little J Gambino.
Unfortunately, Little J could not be here today. He's in need of much rest, and he's asked that me, Bobby Speech, that I come in and fill in for him today. So you have to bear with me, because I have a lot to say. Some of you have met me before. I'm Bobby Speech of Lifestyles of the Not So Rich and Famous. And speaking of which, I was asked the other day to babysit. I'm not a fucking babysitter. Okay, don't do that to me again. Don't. So the kids said, please, 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 will you read me a bedtime story? I read to them The Three Little Pigs. And as I was reading The Three Little Pigs, we got to the part where the big bad wolf was knocking, and he said, let me in, let me in. And the little pig said, not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. The little kids looked at me and said, that's you, Bobby Speech. You've got the hair on your chin chin. I said to myself, well, goodness gracious. I never thought about it before. Where the fuck that phrase ever came from, I don't know. But it must have been a daddy reading a bedtime story. And he looked at his children and he said, not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. With that in mind, I thought, we have an awful lot of big bad wolves, especially in Soho. Yes, we talked to you yesterday about Soho. Soho. There are some bad wolves out there. There are many, many wolves in Soho, London. Take, for example, look right here. Walking through the streets of Soho in the rain. There's a legend in London, don't walk in the rain. The big bad wolf might get you. So, New Jersey has the Jersey Devil. And we have the London werewolf of Soho. It seems the women here tax our house in Soho. He finds them as tasty little morsels. We won't even elaborate on that. However, it's time I tell you the true story of Little Red Riding Hood. Mm-hmm. You may have thought she came from the forest. No, she came from Soho. That little girl, that little tramp was wearing red because she was Soho. She never wanted to tell her mummy. She would just put her cloak on and go out. Why was she wearing red? She was wearing red in the red light district of Soho. I'm going to tell you now the true story of Little Red Riding Hood. One day she gathered up her basket. She said, Mummy, I'm going to see Grandma. She put in that basket tea and crumpets and jellies and jams and a 357. And Mummy looked at her and said, my, Little Red Riding Hood, why the 357? She says, you never know when you run into the werewolf of Soho. So she skipped on down the street and went off to Mummy's house. When she got to her grandmom's house, she opened the door. Grandma was laying there in bed and she said, oh, Little Red Riding Hood, you've showed up right on time. However, the voice sounded different. Red Riding Hood looked and said, Grandma, what big eyes you have. And Grandma said, all the better to see you with, my dear. She said, Grandma, what big hands you have. And she said, all the better to hold you with, my dear. And she said, Grandma, what big teeth you have. And she said, all the better to gobble up that plum pudding. Little Red Riding Hood reached in her basket, grabbed that 357, and she said, the hell with that. You're going to eat me like the script says.
Ah!
Yes, I'm Bobby Speech of Lifestyles of the Not So Rich and Famous. Once again, another visit to Soho. Thank you.